Hello, this is Brent from Mindful Music Therapies, and today we're going to be talking about why music is so powerful. So, I'm a board certified music therapist. My last couple of videos have been reaction videos, but I thought today we'll kind of stray away from that a little bit, and maybe go into more of the therapeutic or the clinical aspects of music and how it really affects people and their mind, their body. This this video is honestly kind of an on the fly or off the fly video. I'm kind of making this up as I go, but I hope it's going to be a little educational, a little insightful. So so my specific training, we were really trained in the biopsychosocial framework, or when we look at someone, we think about them through the lens of a biological lens, a psychological lens, and their sociocultural context from which they came. And all three of those things are extremely important with music as well. So when we think about music, you can think, kind of split it up into a few different aspects, right? The beat of the music, or, kind of the rhythm. We can talk about, the tempo, which is how fast or how slow. It's literally, the beats per minute of the, I hate these headphones, the beats per minute of the music. You can think about the melody, which is, how, what notes you're singing and how you arrange the notes. Harmony is when you add on notes to the melody. You can think about the chord progression, which is just which chords you play in what order. There's a whole lot that goes into music and each of it has a different effect on the brain. Each of it has a different effect on each person. So biologically, music affects the brain in very specific and interesting ways. Unfortunately, for this video, we're not going to go too in-depth into that, but rather just understanding that, rhythm affects mostly affects a different part of the brain than melody does, for example, right? And that's why music and rhythm is used a lot in speech therapy. That's why it's used a lot in a lot of neurological disorders, Parkinson's disease, stuff like that, because it does affect different parts of the brain, and that can help to build new pathways through the brain to kind of bypass some of the damage that may have been done, or some of those common issues with different neurological disorders. Psychologically, music makes us feel, music makes us think, and specifically if the music has lyrics, that can really affect us in our psyche, right? That there's really no getting away from that, is that music really makes us feel. And in terms of, sociocultural context, different things in music will bring up different associations for each person depending on where they're from, depending on their own background, their musical experience. For example, if if someone went da 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 da, right, something very simple, but in other cultures, people are going to think you're crazy, right? But specifically in American culture, that is something that a lot of us understand the reference, right? And music is interesting because music can be kind of looked at in a developmental framework, much like if you're looking at Piaget or Erickson. Musical development happens throughout infancy and childhood as well. And sometimes we think of the nature versus nurture aspect, specifically in terms of music, which is a learned skill and something that you have to practice as you get older. But initially, music is very much on the nature aspect, right? In terms of how speech develops, right? In terms of when babies start clapping or start bouncing up and down and dancing, right? That's a reaction to what's around them. That's a reaction to those musical stimuli, and those all have effects on the brain and the body. And there is a, in terms of neurotypical development, there are sort of developmental milestones we look at in terms of when someone is able to clap on time, when someone is able to sing a pitch correctly, recognize a tune, when someone is able to audiate, which audiation is the ability to hear a song in your head, which people think is a very simple thing, but that's actually relatively complex to be able to hear a song in your head, and especially to be able to produce it afterwards. There are those basic things that, once again, match a lot with developmental milestones, match a lot with speech milestones. And then after that, that's when things go more into the nurture aspect of, what's being taught and, what their experience is. And once again, everything is completely focused on your cultural, social influences and aspects and your own background and culture within the music. People often say that music is the universal language, which, in a way, I think everyone can appreciate music, but that doesn't mean that the cultural sense and cultural aspects of the music is universal, right? Everyone uses music differently. Everyone understands music differently, whether it's for purely enjoyment, whether it's for religious, reasons, whether it's for celebrations, whether it's for, mourning. Music means something different to everyone. So when we're thinking about those different aspects of music, right? Beat, rhythm, just the overall accompaniment, how heavy, or, how many instruments, how complex is involved within the orchestration or the arrangement versus how open and kind of soloistic it is. Each of it will have a different effect, if that makes sense. And, this is going to be kind of interesting, but I think the example I want to use with this is a Disturbed song called Down with the Sickness. I'm sure a lot of you may be familiar with it, especially if you're, grew up with any sort of rock or metal, because it is a metal band. It's considered a bit of a classic Disturbed song. And what we're going to do is, we're going to listen to it, and I have the lyrics brought up as well, although it may be a little difficult to see it on this screen. But I want us to think of the music as a whole, right? I want you to think of each instrument and their purpose, why they play what they play, how it makes you feel. And once again, with music, it's different for everyone. Your interpretation, your experience is going to be different than the next person's, and that's okay. My interpretation is completely based on my own experience, my own cultural background, and, it may be very different from yours, and that's okay, right? What's really important is just understanding how it affects you, how it affects your body, how it affects your mind, and kind of what it reminds you of. And I think I'm going to try my best to bring up my own associations during it to give some examples. Once again, they're my own associations. They are no one else's, although they may be. And that doesn't mean that there is anything right or wrong with them. They are just subjective as they are. So let me bring this up. All right, there we go. So let's listen. All right. We're going to listen, look a bit at the lyrics if you can. If not, you could bring it up on the side. And then we'll talk a little bit about it. So for me, just listening to that intro, I think the best way to explain it is I interpret it as very primitive, right? In terms of the drums, kind of had that echo. It's sort of, once again, my own cultural background, my own experience, sort of a tribal feel. You know, those kind of primitive screams that he has. I think that's the best way that I can explain how I interpret it. That intro is very primitive. Not meaning, not meaning basic or, undeveloped, but rather just kind of those intrinsic aspects of human behavior and kind of how we, from a evolutionary standpoint, kind of how we basically react to situations and our basic needs, and I think that makes sense. Let's continue.
Drowning deep in my sea of loathing, broken, your servant I am. Will you give it to me? It seems what's left of my human side is slowly changing in me. Will you give it to me? Looking at my own reflection, when suddenly it changes, violently it changes. Oh no, there is no turning back now. You've woken up the demon in me. Come on, get down with the sickness. Come on, get down with the sickness. Come on, get down with the sickness. Open up your hate and then never wanna make. Come on, get down with the sickness. You mother, come on, get down with the sickness. You fucker, come on, get down with the sickness. And this is the gift that has been given to me.
So, it kind of portrays anger, frustration to me, which again, anger is kind of one of those primitive emotions. One of those primitive instincts that happens is, when someone goes into a rage or, gets really angry, people may interpret it as, them acting like an animal, right? Which is a really unfortunate, way of saying it, but that kind of within American culture, we hear that a lot. And what's really interesting about the instrumental is the guitar part is very syncopated, and what syncopated means is that it is kind of off the beat. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, very on the beat, it's, what was the guitar part like? It's like 1 and a 3, 4 and a 1 and a 3, 4 and a, like, it's very kind of off the beat. It's kind of a chug, kind of like a chug of a train, right? Chugga 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 chugga. Very distorted, and very driving, right? And I think that's the same with the vocals as well. He does have a lot of clean vocals in there, but there's a lot of distortion, a lot of push. I know, it's very fascinating. Let's continue.
I can see inside you, the sickness is rising. Don't try to deny what you feel. Will you give it to me? It seems that all that was good has died and is decaying in me. Will you give it to me? It seems you're having some trouble in dealing with these changes, living with these changes. Oh no, the world is a scary place now that you've woken up the demon in me. Come on, get down with the sickness. Come on, get down with the sickness. Come on, get down with the sickness. Open up your hate and let it run to me. Come on, get down with the sickness. You mother, come on, get down with the sickness. You fucker, come on, get down with the sickness. And this is the gift that has been given to me.
So, I mean, when we're looking at it lyrically, the lyrics match up pretty well with the arrangement and the instrumental parts. It's a pretty heavy instrumental part, and it's very heavy lyrics, right? Once again, he's talking about, waking up the demon. He's talking about madness. He's talking about, frustrations and difficulties dealing with changes happening in the world. And, I mean, it feels very... I guess heavy really is the best term I can use. And I think I'm going to, talk a little bit more about how that how that sort of interpretation or feeling can change just based on maybe the arrangement, or how people kind of portray the song, right? So what if we kept the same lyrics? Those lyrics are very powerful, very very deep, very primitive, and very kind of anger focused. And what if we kept the lyrics but we just changed the instrumental part? How might that change how we perceive the song? Maybe we can try it. So what I'm going to do is, I have a guitar. Sounds like someone's driving by with music playing too. And I'm going to play a very very soloistic version of this song. It's going to be me on acoustic, and it's going to be a bit slower, and I want you to kind of notice how, or if how I play it and how I sing it changes your perspective, changes your perception, changes how you experience the song. The lyrics are going to stay completely the same. All right? I am very interested on what your perspective will be. So, it's not very syncopated. It's pretty simple. Just acoustic guitar. Drowning deep in my sea of loathing, broken your servant I kneel. Seems what's left of my human side is slowly changing in me. Looking at my own reflection, when suddenly it changes, violently it changes. There is no turning back. Now you've woken up the demon in me. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Open up your hate and let it flow into me. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Madness is a gift that has been given to me. See inside you, the sickness is rising. Don't deny what you feel. Seems all that was good has died and is decaying in me. Seems you're having some troubles in dealing with these changes, living with these changes. The world is a scary place now that you've woken up the demon in me. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Open up your hate and let it flow into me. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Madness is the gift that has been given to me. I know it's different. It is. It's different, but it's fascinating. So, when we're thinking of the original version, we can kind of think about our experiences with Disturbed, if we've had any, or, you know, our experiences with metal music, what we expect from metal music. You know, kind of that heaviness, that drive, that distortion is something that's pretty common, as opposed to what we think of when we think of acoustic guitar, right? Maybe we think of country, maybe we think of folk music, maybe we think of, you know, pop music. Typically, you know, with the exception of maybe, you know, their cover of Sound of Silence, there's not a whole lot of acoustic reference in terms of Disturbed. You know, that's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just what they do. It's their genre. It is who Disturbed is, and there's nothing wrong with that. And sometimes just breaking down the arrangement like that, keeping it pretty simple and letting it focus more on the lyrics gives you a different understanding and perception of the lyrics as well. Which I am definitely, you know, interested in hearing all of y'all's, you know, experience with that. And, you know, I kept out all of that syncopation. I kept it 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and, you know, very, very simple. But I mean, even how you play something, the time signature you play something creates a different sense of the music. So, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4 is common time. That's typical what we hear a lot. Sometimes you hear it in 3, 4. Here, let me just play some examples. So 3, 4 is more, you might hear it a lot more in waltz music, children's music, sometimes folk music, you know. That's actually a bluegrass song, but you know, the 3, 4 is relatively common. Another one that we might hear here and there is what we call 6, 4. And you can split that up into like a 2. And a lot of times that feels almost like you're rocking. We hear that a lot in folk music. A lot of folk music tends to be in 6/8. However, I think probably the most popular or most well-known song in 6/8 would probably be you know, Hallelujah. I don't remember how it goes. I'd have to bring it up. But you know, yeah, that's in the 6/8. In music therapy, when we're working with, you know, different time signatures mean something different when we use it, and we use it with a purpose. You know, common time 4, 4, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's really easy to follow along to. That's stuff that people are familiar with. 3, 4 can be as well if you use it right. And you know, 6/8 could be as well, but But a lot of times, if we're using 3/4 or 6/8, there's a reason behind that, and that could be for relaxation purposes. 3/4 and 6/8 tend to be pretty relaxing. Once again, the 6/8 kind of feels like someone's being cradled. We use that a lot in the NICU, or working with infants, newborns, individuals with dementia. We use that a lot, and actually, that's a technique used to in relaxation to put people to sleep. Is to put people, take someone's favorite song. We call it a song of kin. A song that's popular and familiar from their childhood, something that means a lot to them, and kind of transitioning it over into a 3/4 or 6/8 to give it almost like a lullaby feel. Once again, with my version of this Disturbed song, we kept it pretty simple. It would be interesting to try and do this. Ooh, let's try it. I'm interested. I haven't done this before. Here we go. Rounding deep in my sea of loathing, broken your servant I kneel. It seems what's left of my human side is slowly changing in me. It almost has that drive in this as well. It's interesting. Looking at my own reflection, when suddenly it changes violently. There is no turning back now that you've woken up the demon in me. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Get up, come on, get down. It's kind of weird, but I like it. It gives it a completely different feel. It really does. This is all things that we need to think of. Yeah, when we're listening to music. Once again, I mentioned in a previous video. When I like a song, I like to analyze it and figure out why I like the song. Whether it's the chord progression, whether it's the melody, whether it's the words. And a big part of Disturbed that people like is that driving, that sort of primitive sound, that distortion, that power. That's why a lot of people like metal music and heavy rock, is because it's very cathartic, right? Being cathartic, letting out your emotions, right? And a lot of times this is a comfortable and safe way for people to let out those emotions is through a creative process such as music. However, when you change sort of those preconceived notions of the song, or you change the arrangement, or you change how we think the song should sound, it can give us a new perspective. Looking at this is it's a long video. I apologize. This is different than what I've done previously, but I'm thinking it might be interesting for those of you that have more of an interest in the music therapy side and less so on the reaction side. As always, if you have any questions, please make a comment. I've gotten some wonderful questions and wonderful discussions on my previous videos. I really do appreciate it. I love the discussion. I love the questions, and I love talking with people about this sort of stuff. So if you like this, like, comment, subscribe. All the fun stuff to help out a growing music channel, growing YouTube channel. And as always, I hope you all have a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend, and a wonderful week. Whenever you're watching this, I hope it's wonderful.